This is the QiYi Smart Cube, and it might be the worst product that I have ever reviewed. From a pretty terrible app and poor performance with the cube itself, is there any hope for QiYi, or should they just stop trying? Well, how about we go back to when I first opened this product, with the hope that it would be good enough to rival every other Smart Cube. And from the outside, it looks pretty good. I mean, at just £20, I don't have too many expectations on accessories and extra features, so I think that this cube currently seems reasonable. But as soon as we go into first turns, it starts to go steeply downhill. You might notice how many mistakes and lockups I am making here due to the lack of corner cutting. But okay, it's a Smart Cube, so the chances are the priority is going to be on the app that is used to control it and not the actual performance. Well, that's what I thought. And whilst I can't show it, I entered my email address correctly 4 times before a code was sent. And I also tried to use a phone number, but the app only allows Chinese phone numbers, which means that that didn't work either. But finally, after typing in my email again and refreshing the inbox, I got a code. So logging in for the first time, I was met with a nice homepage, which seemed pretty good. And in QiYi's defense, connecting the cube was incredibly easy, so I'll give them credit for that. However, one issue is that despite selecting English at the beginning, a lot of the app was still in Chinese, but I'll cover that in more detail a little bit later. So I did a couple of turns, and once again, the connection was very good, and the virtual cube managed to keep up to speed. I figured that the next best thing to do was to go into a battle against another person, and on the first couple of solves, the times for them were completely off the times that I was setting. To be fair, I understand that they need to calibrate my level of skill, yet after completing over 15 solves, I kept getting placed against people setting times upwards of 30 seconds, which seems to defeat the point of a battle. Next, I decided to try out some of the other features that this app has to offer. So after going over to the games section, there was only one you could choose, apart from Sati Tuned, which is another example of a poor translation and mistakes within this app. But whilst I'm here, I might as well try the patterns game, and this pretty much does what it says, just telling you the moves needed in order to make some basic and more advanced patterns, which is great, but why? Surely they should have spent this time developing a game that cubers would have actually been interested in. But now, if we move away from that and onto the practice section, and this is somewhat decent. After doing a solve, it will break down each stage, telling you important data that could help you improve in the future. But when I try to exit this page, another error appears, where the text just hasn't been translated, yet the option buttons have been, which doesn't make any sense. Moving on, sadly, that's pretty much all this app has to offer. One last thing is that it has a trophy section, where after just playing for 20 minutes, I was placed at 800th, and I can't tell whether I'm more surprised that I'm placed so high after such a short period, or that there are over 800 active weekly users of this product. And before I go into my final review, this cube was sent to me by speedqueuing.org, and whilst you're going to have to find out if I recommend this puzzle in a second, any guesses on what I will say, I do recommend buying anything else cubing related over on their website. Genuinely, they have incredible prices, especially within the UK, and I think that they are the best place to buy cubes. So I'll leave a link in the description, which I encourage you to check out. But now onto the final review. So it's been a couple of days since I recorded that bit, and to be honest, my opinions have changed slightly. I mean, I still think that the corner cutting isn't great, as it can barely do some of the medium to larger cuts. However, when you look at other Smart Cubes, they also struggle with being smooth and not locking up. Therefore, currently, performance on Smart Cubes will not be overly close to how you would perform on a normal 3x3. This means that the times can often be slower when using these puzzles. But like I mentioned earlier, I think that the most important thing about any of these cubes is the app that goes alongside it, which is where my review did start to go against this cube. Obviously, the battle feature and practice session is where you will be spending most of your time. However, that's pretty much all there is to do currently anyway. Right now, other features are lacking in every sense due to how this cube is pretty new, and QiYi just haven't had the time to develop new things. However, if we look at the things that are working, and that includes the battle feature, I am still getting placed against people who are a lot worse than me, but I'm assuming that is because there is not enough people currently using this app at one time for it to serve competitors that are exactly the same speed as you. Alternatively, they could place you against AI, AI, but that would ruin the whole aspect, and it's never going to be as fun when you know it's not a real person. In terms of the practice session, whilst it does provide you some good detail about the solves, there isn't really anything that is going to help you improve the times, and that is another thing that could be improved on in the future. For me, I'd like this app to tell you where you were slower and what you could do to change it. Also, if there are any algorithms or solutions that aren't the most optimal, it could tell you the moves that you should do next time in order to be faster. However, this is just not a thing yet, and so for the time being, I think that the QiYi Smart Cube is alright, but the app is a bit lackluster. So if you are currently in the market for a Smart Cube within the next couple of months, then I would recommend getting the QiYi Carry. It is a little bit more expensive, but performs better whilst having a more updated user interface. But in the long term, if QiYi improves their app, then this cube could become a great contender for best budget Smart Cube. So I guess we are going to have to see. And with that, make sure to subscribe if you have enjoyed this video. Consider watching more by clicking here, and thank you very much for watching.